You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Let's see if we have any of those. Doesn't appear that we do, so let's get started with Drew in Green Bay.
Hey Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay, and I went through our team and tried to look at where we need to improve and all that, where we're good, and, trying to look ahead for the draft. And I split it up on offense, I kind of put different segments, but number one thing for getting healthy is get Kraft back. And then best way to improve the offense is to improve the offensive line. You have Ryan, Beggs, and Belton. We're all under a 60 PFF grade. And then where we're good, maybe surprisingly so for a lot of people, is we had 4 wide receivers above 70 PFF grade, and that's not including Romeo Dobbs, so there's actually 5 if you include him. The defense, we have get Parsons healthy. The defensive line, they were all below 60 PFF grade. That's not including Hargrave, who's a new addition. And then where we're good is the 2 safeties above 70 PFF grade. I don't think that really surprises anybody. Special teams, get healthy McManus, improve the kicking I put, which goes along with getting healthy, 63.5 field goal kicking grade, but also an 11.6 kickoff grade. And then improve coverage and returns. Where we're good, Daniel Whelan, obviously a punter, 88.2 PFF grade. And on the draft strategy, I think, so for free agency, we brought in Hargrave, St. Juste, Franklin, and Moore, who's a returner. And then we lost Gary, who will be replaced by Van Ness. Enigbare, who will be replaced by Sorello Oliver. Walker will be replaced by Franklin. Dobbs, who will be replaced by Golden. Jenkins, who will be replaced by Belton after Ryan moves to center. And Willis will be replaced by Ritter. And then let me hang up and I'll finish this off.
All right, part 2.
All right, so Drew from Green Bay, part 2. 2027 free agency. We've got Watson. I think we'll re-sign him. We've got Wicks, who I think I put as a 60-40, let him walk. At some point, we're going to have to save money somewhere. And I think his PFF grades have been high enough and his play has been good enough that someone will take a chance on him, especially if he has a good year. But we may re-sign him. So Valentine, I think we have to re-sign him. Nixon I put him as a 60-40 let walk. He's up for grabs. I mean, he did actually grade out better than I thought, but, so I think between, I don't know, I just put, right now I'm leaning, let him walk, but we'll see how the year goes. And then, Van Ness is a club option, which I think we'll pick up. Brooks, I put a 60-40 let walk. He's kind of like a tweener, and he's just undersized in a 3-4 for defensive tackle. 4-3 is just not a world beater at defensive tackle. I won't be surprised if he goes at all. McDuffie, now that we brought in Franklin, I think we could let him go. He's kind of old, too, for how long he's been in the league, which isn't very long. Kraft is re-sign and Musgrave is let walk. And so I put how we can improve our team through the draft and where we should look to draft. Offensive line is unlikely that 3 offensive line improve. So we should definitely take 1 and maybe 2. On the defensive line, it's unlikely 2 of them improve because they were really bad. So we brought in Hargrave, but we still need 2 others. And cornerback, prepare for potential losses at, if there's some average play or if we do lose Nixon. And then a tight end, we definitely need a tight end too. You use a tight end too a lot. And Musgrave and all of them, and we even lost some Fitzpatrick and guys like that, so we definitely need a tight end too. After that, it's just like super depth, and darts. So that's kind of how I see it. I don't know. Are you thinking the same kind of thing? Do you like my analysis? Where are you on this? All right, thanks. Sorry about being a long call. Have a good day. Bye.
Well, it's definitely a lot of work to do all that, and I appreciate. It reminds me of like prior to the podcast, I was always doing stuff like that, and I didn't really have. I occasionally would work for different, blog places or whatever, or just start my own. Obviously, me being me, and I would just put this kind. That was not to get back into this. If you'd listened for a while, you've already heard the stories or whatever, but. That was my biggest thing was I wanted to put out like really high quality content, and it was going to be more blog related, website, whatever. But it was just going to be very data intensive. Obviously, there was nowhere near as much at the time as there is today. So it would have been pretty rare to find something along those lines. But it was just the amount of time that went into it and for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there was no anything. Like maybe I would start a blog and put that on there, and I did, and nobody read it. It was just sitting there. So it's I definitely understand wanting to put that level of work in, without going through obviously point by point. I'm not going to do that, but the only thing I would say is if you're doing it, and this is way too early to do it, but if you're going down this path anyway, keep like a 90-man roster and then like a 53-man roster in mind. 53 would be more important. The only reason I say that is because I just, without counting in my head, I heard a lot of cut, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. And unless we're talking like down the line over the next 2 to 3 years, I would say we got to make sure we at least have 53, and we're not drafting that many people. We're sitting at what, 8, I think, with some pretty, 2 of them are 7th round and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we keep a UDFA on the 53, like 1. So we can't get rid of too many people, at least not immediately. We have to have, as I always say, you got to be able to field a team. So, otherwise, yeah, I think at the very least in terms of long term, a lot of the guys that you said are probably gone. I think many of them will probably be here in the short term, but in the long term, yeah, these are guys that we need to eventually move on from, or at the very least, you got one more year to prove yourself.
Yo, hey, this is Biko down here in Idaho.
Yo.
So listening to your pod about, the draft stuff, and I guess it's kind of the new trend to not do a workout, you know, which I get, because, and rely on the film. I mean, I don't know why this wasn't more of a thing. I think if you have really good tape, why do a workout? Because what if you actually run a 4.840 and you normally run a 4.7 or 4.6 and you're a tight end, and you just, for whatever reason, you ran a 4.8 and that doesn't matter. I always remember that tight end from the Cowboys who got hair transplants. They were teasing him, saying it was the biggest comeback to his hair. But he was a slow white dude, but he was open every freaking play. Kelsey's the same way. Kelsey ain't running no 4.540.
Yeah.
If they time Kelsey, they probably runs a 5.3 for crying out, but he knows how to get open. So, and I get it. If you mess up your stock, all of a sudden you're a 6th round draft pick instead of a 2nd round draft pick. That's a huge money difference. But why are teams so stupid? I mean, I like to call.
Well, and that's the thing. You like to believe it shouldn't matter because teams will know better, but you can't assume they know better. So, I mean, it's kind of like, when they say, don't talk to police. Why? Because you can only hurt yourself, right? You can't really help yourself. They're just trying to build a case against you. So you don't speak to them. This is kind of the same thing. It's all the good stuff that you have on tape is already on tape. All you can do is show up and confirm it or sow some doubts in their mind. Maybe, you know, if you're a 4-3 guy and for whatever reason everyone's like, no, he's a 4-5 guy, and apparently that's a very real thing that's out there, okay. But even then, you know, I'd probably rather do it at like a pro day or a private workout or something where I can control, you know, like the time of, I don't want to have to go all the way out to Indy and then I have to wait until 10 o'clock at night to run like a 40-yard dash when my freaking hamstrings are all tight. Like I'm not doing that. So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to play along with this game.
People names, I do. Stupid and dumb is one of them. But it's like they get, oh no, I know he had a horrible college career, but he runs a 4.45. So he's obviously, no.
Yeah.
I wish, I don't know if there's, I mean, I can't do it. And I know I'm not giving you homework, but if someone could study this, like, and I've seen things on people that like broke the draft, you know, they studied the 4 or 5, or they zoned in on 4 of the 5, you know, 5 of the things that they watched, the shuttle, the 40, all those things, you know, the bench press, and they killed it. And so they went from like a UDFA to like a 3rd or 4th rounder, and then they fizzled out of the NFL. Like, what's more of a chance? Someone has a kind of a mediocre college career and then kills the draft and is a good NBA player or NFL player, or someone has a mediocre college career, kills the draft, and then doesn't really do anything in the NFL. I think it's the latter. Yeah, just right down the middle of the road, bike people. Don't get me started on people on bikes.
Dude.
Yeah, we share the road, but they're also going 5 miles an hour. So if you can't go the speed limit, you don't.
See, you know, I would just let you finish, but you got 2 other additional calls come in. We don't share the road. The road is for cars. Get off the road. I don't understand this. I've never understood this. Well, no, they go on the road. Why? Why aren't they on the sidewalk? What, we're so scared of like an impact between a bike and why would a bike and a pedestrian run into each other ever? Why would that happen? You suck that much as a human that you can't control a bike or your feet to avoid getting hit by. I've never seen anyone in my life get hit by a bicycle. You know how many bicycles and pedestrians I've seen getting hit by cars? A lot. And that's like in person, because Madison, Wisconsin is like the people getting hit by cars capital of the world. Because we just put like designated, bikes go all over the place and pedestrians don't even look. They just start walking across the street all the time, and it's your job to just slam on the brakes. So yeah, no, the road is for cars only. Okay? If a bike or pedestrian has to cross a street, then we have to make some kind of an allowance for that. Outside of that, you stay off. There's no reason for a bicycle to ever be on a roadway. Ever. Get on a sidewalk. Don't have a sidewalk? Frickin' fine. I guess for a little bit, you can go on the road. But you need to get, it's no different than like a person walking on the road because there's nowhere else to walk. I mean, I guess if you have to, then do it. But you probably shouldn't be on the road. It's not safe. And you're frickin' annoying. And you're slowing up traffic.
Curb, or let me push you off the curb. Anyways, yeah, it's like just because you have a couple good drills doesn't mean you can be a good NFL player. And I think the same is the reverse true thing, whatever. Anyways, I'm just spitballing. I'm enjoying all the stuff. This is the beginning of my hard work week. So go Paco.
Yeah, it is kind of funny because we hear teams are like, they don't take it seriously. They don't really care. But it seems like they very much do care, you know? Like, we're smarter than that. We know to not, like, we don't care about the cow. We're just here for the medicals and all that. And then you watch these guys with their stopwatches watching the 40-yard dash time like it's, you know, like they're trying to win the freaking lottery or something. Like, it's laser timed. Like, you don't even need to be here for this. Go home. Like, we'll send you a packet. Like, no, I got to be there. I got to see it. And then they go to the media like, I'm too good for a 40-yard dash. I couldn't care about it. I couldn't care less about it. You're a liar. You're stupid.
So I didn't give a call of roulette because I knew I was going to call right back. I was pulling into my parking garage and I didn't talk anymore. But about the draft, maybe that's why some teams, you know, historically are just better at drafting because they don't just go for the shiny object, you know. I tend to do that. I mean, I'm not stupid, but like for instance, the old owner of the Raiders.
Right.
If there was a receiver that ran a 4.2 40, he was going to the Raiders. Didn't matter.
And they usually weren't very good. And unfortunately, that is also kind of like the origin story of our people, which is why we kind of lean that way, I think, a little bit. I'm not sure that there are direct ties, but I know that there are some ties, and it might have something to do with it, which is a little annoying. But anyways.
I mean, the guy drafted a punter in the first round for crying aloud because he wanted him. And I know there's people say, well, if you really want him, get him. But yeah, a punter in the first round, pretty sure he wasn't going to make it. I'm pretty sure he was going to make it at least to the second round. But, so maybe some teams are just better at looking at the tape. And some teams just look at shiny, fast objects and go, I want that one,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gosh. Even like the Bears have done, I guess, I don't know, slightly better. I mean, they kind of got lucky with Caleb because they had how many first-round quarterback picks that sucked. They finally got one that still sucks, but is better at sucking, But how many first-round picks have the Jets and the Bengals and the Raiders and the Bears just whiffed on? So many, And yeah, sometimes we whiff on a first-round pick, but it's because it's like in, number 29 or 32 even, right? So I will say this. And I was thinking this already, this is actually what I was going to call about, but I changed my mind right when I called you because my brain does that. Like if the Packers really nail this draft, I wonder if it won't have something to do with the fact that they didn't really have to bother all the first round, research crap. And okay, we're not even worried about that. Let's focus on rounds, 2 on out. And if that's the case, especially if they do it again, like I'm assuming they're going to do it this year, but let's say they get like 4 bangers this year, and let's say they get 3 or 4 bangers next year, I would be a humongous proponent of trading our first round pick every year after that because, sometimes you got to get what you got to get. Maybe there's a dude there that you know won't be in the second round. You got to get him. I get it. But if you could trade your first round pick and get 2 or 3 other picks in the second or third round, second and third, I'm about doing that. I love fresh coffee. Anyways, go Pack go. Let's nail the draft. I have started my research on the running backs as per your orders. But because I'm... go back.
What?
Ran out of time, but I started the running back stuff.
Good.
As per your command.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished because I like to put stuff off. That's my deal.
Same.
Okay? Don't bother me. Don't yell at me. That's just what I do. It's my process. Okay, bro? Identify as a procrastinator. So, boom.
I got to start using that when I procrastinate. It's just a part of my process.
I win. So, go back, go, blah, 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 draft, call the roulette. I don't like to pre-think of it because to me that's too generic. It should be like spur of the moment. I thought about maybe just saying the same person every time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about, listening to the last 100 After Darks and logging who calls and what days it gets played and inputted that into ChatGPT to get the statistical average on what's the highest chance of me picking someone. But I didn't do that because that would be psychotic. You would probably do that. I mean, now that I mention that, it sounds kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it to be organic. So, and if I call someone's name I already called, heck, I could just maybe just say the same name every time and eventually get it right. You know what I'm saying? But I'm waiting for a name to pop in my head. I'll say 1265. You've been calling a lot lately, but you're in like the green category. It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there you go. So I'm out. I'm going to make a bunch of taco ingredients. You have a great day and go pick.
Well, I will just add this. And again, I know we don't have a first round. I get it. I understand. And I also am failing at this, which I think I really need to also hunker down. But we are running out of time when it comes to the draft. We are running out of time. And so it would be cool to start hearing some favorite prospects. Usually by this time, we're hearing dozens and dozens from people, who you really like and all that kind of stuff, who we need to draft and all that. I know it's a different kind of a year, but I don't know, it would be great to start hearing some my guys. So there you go. Caller roulette. Is it 1265?
Brian, what's up, buddy? Kyle from Madison. How are you?
Swing and a miss. I'm good. Thank you.
So I wanted to call and talk about the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini scandal.
I haven't brought that up, but partially because I forget, but also just because it's like, I mean, I usually touch on this stuff, so I don't want to be like, it's none of my business. But I don't know. It's kind of weird, and I guess I haven't really dug into it. But at the same time, the more you look at stuff, the more it's like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not doing what it appears that they're doing. But I don't know, man. It's tough. I'll let you do it. Go ahead.
Right now, because, the NFL just doesn't have enough scandals like this, Like, I follow European soccer and some F1 stuff, and, like, it seems like every year there's, like, a nice scandal like this.
Okay.
In, like, the British press. We don't have nearly enough in the NFL for the offseason, So
right.
That is a ridiculous situation right now, though. I honestly don't care about either of these people all that much.
Agreed.
I do think it's pretty interesting. So both of these people are married. I don't know if everybody knows the situation. So they're both married, right?
The worst
and
part.
Rossini works for The Athletic. I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Is it The Athletic?
I think so.
I think so. I don't know. She does a lot of pieces on ESPN. And then obviously Vrabel's the coach of the Patriots. But so there's all these photos of them like gazing into each other's eyes in the hot tub together and holding hands at this like romantic hotel, which supposedly they were there with other people until they weren't. Oops. And I don't know if you followed Rossini at all. Like, she does make a habit of just blazing her husband like live on.
I had no idea that was a thing, but I think we all have learned that over the last couple of days. She has she's got a couple bad habits that are not great, and all of them point in one direction. In the category of, she's not nice to her husband.
About his looks and stuff. So I'm sure that's fueling the fire, but the pictures, it's not a good look, man. No. Any of us who are married that did any, like, half that crap would be packing our bags the next day. There's a lot of people rushing to. Well,
I mean, and that, honestly, that's part of the reason I haven't really talked about it. And, I mean, that's what I feel. I mean, I love the juicy man drama and all that kind of stuff, but this is a little different. I mean, there are spouses and I'm pretty sure kids involved, and that's a sucky situation for a spouse to have to see that and then have that thrown in their face every 5 seconds because it's all over social media as people basically mocking you to your face, and also you have to have had suspicions. First of all, the main theory now, and this is coming from pretty much everybody, including guys that you would expect to not, I don't think it was Pelissero, but it was somebody like that, who's like, you would not expect them to speculate to that level. But the main thing now is that the assumption is one of their spouses hired a private investigator, and that's how we got these pictures. But even still, I mean, and little things like this keep dawning on me, but part of those pictures, you look at it and it's like, I mean, it doesn't have to be a thing. It's a get-together, whatever. The coaches and media or something are there. I don't know what that is. But then you realize, I mean, not only can you not really see other people there, like I haven't seen any other coaches that were there, but she packed a bathing suit, Like, does her husband know that she was packing I mean, maybe. Like, she's like, I got to go do like a thing at a hotel, and I'm going to print because, I mean, I'm going to a hotel. Why wouldn't I pack a bathing suit? But it's like she wasn't there to just do an interview. She's lounging in her bathing suit, I don't know. Just little things like that keep occurring to me. And if I was a spouse, like, why? Why are you, like, I get it. You're saying, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt and all that, but I feel like maybe I don't know, like holding hands, and like a hug is one thing. Looked like an endearing hug, but it's a picture, you know, you can't really overanalyze a picture. But like the holding hands, looking into each other's eyes thing, and then you guys spent a lot of time together for sure. And I didn't see you like holding a notepad. It was like in your swimsuit in the tub together or in a lounge chair next to each other and stuff, you know? Not a lot of like holding a microphone type stuff.
Defend her, and it's like, I don't know. You look like you're going above and beyond for the scoop there, honey.
Yeah.
The internet is absolutely undefeated right now in regards to this scandal, though. Oh, I've heard so many funny comments, man. What was I just? Oh, somebody's like, Vrabel lost 2 rings in 3 months.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how either of these people
fair.
are going to stay married after this, but it is interesting. And I was like going through Reddit, and I didn't realize like during the season it was kind of an inside joke that some of the Patriots Reddit people were kind of making tongue-in-cheek jokes about how like, is Rossini and Vrabel together? Because she's always scooping, like she always has the scoop on the Patriots locker room.
Oh, yeah.
Like people are joking.
Which is kind of like the thing why they're doing an investigation is, you know, now there's questions about her reporting and you know, how is she getting stories? You know, it's kind of like a Meredith thing. How did she got the discount on paper and the coupons, you know? So how is she getting, and there's allegations of like her with McVay. There was a talk about like apparently there was a drunken fight between her and another reporter, and apparently it was over McVay when they found out that the other girl was sleeping with McVay and all this stuff. And it's like, and I'm sure like this is stuff, you know, like Matt LaFleur is and football players and all these guys, like they probably know these stories and they keep it to themselves. It's locker room stuff. Everybody knows all the slimy details, and hopefully, and honestly, the other thought that I had, you know, I rail against the Packers sometimes about this whole culture thing and personality thing and all that nonsense, and I'm like, look, it's cool and all, but like we spend way too much time worrying about if somebody's a nice guy, and I don't know what's going on, but I remember having the thought, you know, McVay kind of has that playboy attitude to him, and a lot of these guys are real arrogant, like powerful, you know, men and all this stuff. LaFleur, you get the feeling like, I don't know, but one of my first thoughts was, I feel good knowing that our guy is not a part of this. I like that fact. I like the fact that this guy didn't go to those parties. This guy is not meeting up with reporters at hotels. He is with his family. He's with his kids. He's doing right by his family, right? And ultimately, by extension, the organization and the players. Because there are players, rightly so, that are going to be offended by this. Some guys are going to be like, okay, whatever, it's no big deal, fine. You know, and they're probably doing similar things that are not right. But there are other guys that are not going to be happy, you know? I mean, you got guys like, you know, Jordan Love, who hopefully is a very faithful and good husband and all that kind of stuff, and he's not going to be happy hearing stories or finding out that his coach is doing all these things, and now you're complicit in having to keep your mouth shut when you're hanging out with the coach's wife and you're seeing the coach's kids. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff is not good. It's not good. It's not right. It's not healthy. So I will say, so long as I am at least ignorant of anything negative going on with LaFleur, that I'm happy that we have a coach that I have confidence in is not doing this kind of nonsense.
Like, with all this coming to a head, you can kind of go back and read it. So pretty interesting. Ultimately, I really don't care, but it is a pretty funny off-season scandal. And I am really glad I would never pull off some dumb crap like that as a married man. So, peace.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And especially for Vrabel's wife, because, Rossini's husband, it sounds like, had to have basically known, because the way that she acts and the way that she talks about him and the way that she talks about herself. And, I mean, as a guy, it would be hard to not be suspicious. But, you know, anytime you're married to a football player or a celebrity or a coach or something, it would be hard to not be worried about that. And, you know, to have your suspicions just thrown in your face like that would be not fun. So I don't envy, and I do feel sorry for the family being put in that situation. And hopefully it's not true. And, maybe it was a little bit inappropriate in terms of time that they spent together and, conversations and whatever. But, I don't know. I don't know what happened. And I will just play ignorant and give them the benefit of the doubt. And hopefully it scares enough coaches and players into, if they're doing anything wrong or thinking about doing something wrong, into smartening up. I don't think we took a break. Let's just do one break today. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we got TJ from Alabama.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama. Hey, first off, I'd like to congratulate Batman for his pathetic, I don't know, whatever, that word, for going Uncle Rico on Color Roulette and being the historical first winner. Well done, Batman. Keep it up. But you guys were talking food, and yes, I hadn't eaten yet, and you also were making me feel a little nostalgic because ham with the brown sugar, smoked ham, brown sugar, putting some cloves in there with pineapple rings on top of it.
There you go.
That was like the best growing up. So, family wasn't, grew up in Wisconsin, went to MATC, yada, yada, yada. We have some similarities there. And family definitely was not well off. Dad was a steel worker, union, I'd strike half the time, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So ham was a pretty cheap meal, one of the best ones we could have. And that was outstanding. And then just, you got me thinking of food. So then I started thinking of other things growing up. And, Dad made homemade kielbasa, and he wouldn't have any recipe or anything. He'd just grind that pork butt up, throw a big pile of ground pork butt on the table, put some garlic on it, put way more salt and pepper than you could ever imagine should be on it. Stuff that sucker in a big casing, and that was beautiful as well. That was wonderful. And then on the other side, Mom liked to make pork chops.
Yep.
But again, we weren't the richest family in the world, so she bought the nastiest, cheapest pork chops you could ever find with gristle, and it was horrible.
Yes.
It was horrible. It kind of set me off of pork chops, like, to this day kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's everybody, I think.
It was nasty. So, all right. Thank you, Batman. Thank you, Ryan. Keep going. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, me and my buddy Blaine talk about that all the time, about how we're on a crusade to get people back on pork chops, because we all grew up on that. These cheap, thin, overcooked, like nastily seasoned. I mean, they were okay. I ate them. I didn't hate. I definitely, I had to eat vegetables every day. I hate vegetables, so the pork was one of the highlights. But yeah, it wasn't good. I don't think anybody really loved that. We also, we didn't have. I don't think we had a grill. Maybe, I don't know. If we did, we didn't really use it. I know my dad grilled out occasionally, but it was usually at like a park or something kind of thing. But either way, when we had ham, it was like this compressed ham nastiness. And I never had like actual good ham until I was an adult. Like we had deli ham, which was fine. But when we had like thick cut ham, it was disgusting. So I hated freaking ham. And so I remember the first time we went to like I think it was just like family decided we're going to do a ham instead of like turkey or something for Thanksgiving or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? That's disgusting. And I ate it and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life. Like, why is this so, well, it turns out we just got really cheap, like, I don't know, like compressed ham grossness. I don't know where you even buy that, but it was not good. And I think that was probably the problem with a lot, even probably vegetables, eating green beans out of a can. And so you talk to like vegetable people and they're like, oh, I don't like that. It's like, well, that's the only ones I've ever eaten. I don't know. Never had any other kind of green beans other than the canned green beans, bro. I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about with fresh stuff. But the other issue with pork chops, being that the FDA used to say that you had to go to 165, and that is no longer the thing. So on top of getting better quality, better cooking techniques, and then, not having to cook a relatively lean meat until it's way too cooked. It does wonders and turns it into a delicious cut of meat.
Brian, what's up, man? Kyle from Madison.
Yo.
All right, you guys are having meat conversation.
Yeah.
I love meat conversation time of year, which I guess is really pretty much all year on the channel here.
Yes.
But, you were talking about how you don't use beer, you don't keep in the house for boiling meats and broths and stuff in. And, I'm not as advanced as a lot of y'all call in here with your meat preparation. I used to have a little smoker and stuff. So, I've had my time in the barrel of being a meat scientist, but this might be a little bit of a pleb addition. Sometimes I'm surprised how few people use this, but for decades, my go-to for, not so much, I don't use it for steak, but especially for boiling meats, has been Dr. Pepper.
Sure.
I know some people use Coca-Cola, but I'll tell you what, man, something about Dr. Pepper, it's got just a little bit more a complicated flavor profile. It's an awesome marinade. It's because it's a little bit more gentle to the proteins that you're breaking down, as opposed to a citrus-based marinade or a vinegar-based, which can get out of control pretty quick. Whereas Dr. Pepper, it's got enough acid to do the job, but it's you kind of can't screw it up. And then I like to do, sometimes with a little bit of beer, sometimes not, but I'll do any kind of smoked broth. It doesn't even have to be smoked, but the flavor profile is really nice with something smoked. But I'll do peppercorns and then an onion, sometimes a green pepper, like I said, sometimes beer, and then Dr. Pepper. And that's what I'll boil my broths in or my sausages in. Sometimes even a nice, old style hot dog too. And then they'll hit the grill, and oh man, I mean, because you do get, you want to keep your casings, try to keep them from puncturing while they're in the pan, but you still get some of that flavor getting inside the casings. And then when you get them on the grill, you get this really nice caramelization. It's not such a high concentration of sugar where it's just black right away. But I'm telling you what, you get this savory, salty with the sweet. Oh, man. And then you can do a little reduction with it if you want, with, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, maybe just a touch of apple cider vinegar. And, oh, man, that to me, and it's cheap. It's way cheaper than marinades. You got to do a bunch of chicken breasts. It just works. So, I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that down. Maybe a lot of y'all use something like that, or maybe your next level, but
no, that's a good call. I've seen a lot of that when it comes to, so what am I thinking of here? So I think it was I've seen Dr. Pepper. I think it's cherry Pepsi and stuff. For ribs, for I think pork butt, for a couple other things, especially if you're going for something kind of sweet and you can put a sweet barbecue or something on it afterward. I've seen that as an option, and I didn't really know if it was a serious thing or, sometimes these food channels, they run out of ideas and they start doing weird stuff. And I don't have the luxury like they do of cooking meat every single day and having a budget for that and everything. So you start experimenting with weird stuff, and if it's not great, then you just don't do it. I make ribs, I don't know, 3 times a year. So I don't get very experimental with stuff all the time, but I'll definitely have to try that sometime. Yeah, so if you just go on YouTube right now, they got cherry Dr. Pepper pulled pork. That's a popular one. There's a lot of that. Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce, cherry Dr. Pepper barbecue ribs. So the cherry obviously is much more, because cherry's it's a common barbecue sweet flavor on barbecue type stuff. Dr. Pepper chicken, Oh, here we go. The secret to the best Texas barbecue pork, Dr. Pepper injection. That's what I'm talking about. So it is a little bit of a known thing, I guess. Yeah, I see this, my new favorite rib recipe, Dr. Pepper ribs. And if you go to marinade, Dr. Pepper marinated ribeye, I'm not doing that. Listen, if you make it, I'll eat it. I am not, again, unless I ever start like a barbecue thing that becomes massive and I'm making stuff every day, I will never be marinating. I'm not even messing with steak, dude. I have that so rarely. I'm not marinating. I don't even put steak seasoning. I'm not even talking about like the sauce. I'm talking about seasoning. Like a steak rub? No, I'm not doing that. It's got too many weird flavors. We're not doing that. Yeah, but that might even be something interesting for you to check out because you're already into it, but it sounds like cherry Dr. Pepper is what really got people excited. And like I said, I've seen that several times when it comes to ribs and whatnot. In fact, you know what it was pork belly, because I was going to talk to my kid about maybe trying that, and that we just never did it. He's not super big on branching out, but I guess neither am I. But I thought that could be pretty good because I like sweet barbecue. Oh, and there you go. Ham glaze with Dr. Pepper. Just tying it all together now. All right. We got 3 calls from Garrett. It feels a little early to stop since we just took a break, but I think we're going to. 3 calls is a little much, so we'll save that for tomorrow. As always, appreciate all the callers. As a reminder, I did create like a poll. I haven't checked it, but I did create a poll on that show. The only show on Saturday was Sal doing the interview thing. It didn't turn out very good, like the quality of the back and forth and all that, but it still got the point across just in terms of show concepts and the hosts and whatnot. So if you were interested in putting forth your opinions on that, there is a link in the description. It's the only thing in the description is a link. So just click it and it will take you to a little basically website I made that's very simple. Just go in and grade what you thought of those show concepts or ideas. And we'll go from there. And I will take a non-vote as being not interested. All right. I will talk to you all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.